what's interesting about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is you've got the, the Shroud is a Catholic deal, and the Greek Orthodox, because remember the Great Schism happens, and the Catholics go one way, and in the East, the Greek Orthodox go the other. And they've never really reconciled. And this is a conversation for, off camera. But anyway, that Great Schism is still a schism on some level. The Holy Fire, and this is what our film is, we bridge the gap between the Holy Fire, which is this phenomenon that's happened for 1,700 years in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So what you got to remember is when the Bar Kokhba revolution happens, revolt happens, around AD 125, 130, right around that time. So the Romans come in, they've had it up to here with those pesky Jews, and everybody's out of Jerusalem, and they build the Temple of Venus right over the crucifixion site, right over it. So we're going to take care of those pesky Christians, pesky Jews, no more of this nonsense, get it out of here. They build the Temple of Jupiter over what was the Temple Mount. So now St. Helen comes in around 4th century, and she goes, well, where was the tomb? Where was the crucifixion site? All the locals know. Oh, it's over there. See that Temple of Venus? That's where it was. They deconstruct it. They find the tomb. All of a sudden, the Holy Fire appears. There's a historical record of Gregory of Nyssa, who allegedly said that Peter saw the Holy Fire after Jesus' resurrection. And then it goes up from there, from the 3rd century into modernity. Now, when you look at the Edicule, which is the building in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre where the slab is, the Orthodox priest goes in there and they check them and they seal the tomb and they do all this stuff. Well, I mean, you could have a secret little, candle holder. I mean, there's just way too much all you got to do is sneak in a little lighter like this big. I mean, you could do that, right? The secret candle holder with a lighter on the bottom of it, or any 10,000 ways you can, do like, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat type of thing. I get that. But until recently, there was nobody in the Edicule. You go back 100 years ago, no one's in the Edicule. They're just saying the prayers, and the light appears in the Edicule. You go back even further, and all the lamps that are around the Edicule would light up by themselves. Well, there's a picture which we didn't include in the film because we're not sure really what it is. And Gil Zimmerman worked 30 years at DreamWorks and Disney. He's my business partner. It took us almost a year to finish this film. It was a lot of work. And when I first gave him the timeline was about an hour and 45 minutes. We parsed it down to about an hour and 15 minutes. So you say, well, that's easy to do. Oh, really? I mean, it's just a lot of work. So there's this flash, and I took the YouTube video, which was done in 2018, I believe, 2017, 2018, and I went frame by frame by frame. You see a flash like that. And it could be a camera flash. We don't know what it is. There's another one outside the church where all of a sudden everything illuminates. There's a Russian scientist that went into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre during the miracle of the fire, and with electrical equipment. And there was all this plasma energy which is registering on his equipment. And right before the Holy Fire manifested, it went off the charts. I mean, there was definitely this spike in electrical activity. So scientifically, this is all in the film, by the way, scientifically, there's something going on with the Holy Fire. What's interesting about the Holy Fire, and we talked about this once again, Holy Shroud, Holy Fire. People go, what does this have to do with, the skeptics are always there. Take a chill, fella, yeah? So what about the burning bush with Moses? The bush that burns, but does not burn. What's that?
Well,
right?
Yeah.
What's the pillar of flame, right? The pillar of flame that leads the Israelites. What's the tongues of fire?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Over the heads of the disciples. So
it doesn't burn their hair, does it? Doesn't burn their hair.
No. And in the film, Giulio Fonti, who was there, he's got it. He's going like this. Now, I challenge you to take candles and do that. And then he inhales it. It's like a warmth that goes in. And there's a woman, and she's going like this. I mean, right under her arm, that sweater of the candle would just, I mean, and the flame's like this long. You know, this isn't a small flame.
Yeah.
This isn't like a little candle flame. The flame that Julio is holding is, you know, it's like it covers his whole face and it's not burning. I'm not recommending anyone go to and do that, but that's what all the pilgrims do. So this has been going on for 1,700 years. One more.
Yeah, and I know, just to break in there, I know that I was Mondo. You remember we went through that book on Jerusalem by Simon Sebag Montefiore. He mentions the holy fire, and there were some not pilgrims. There were some skeptics there, or Protestant, a Protestant guy there, and he said, no, he's got this figured out what they're doing. There's something coming down a rope or what have you. So I'm not too. I mean, I'm aware of the holy fire, LA, but I've never really looked into it as such. But it's it's very fascinating. So there is a fire that does not burn, that's for sure. It's throughout the throughout the scriptures. But for the sake of time, if we can just come back to the shroud, if that's all right with you guys, because I see we're on half an hour. So just in terms of probability, Mondo, you were saying like maybe 99% probability for you. You can't prove it. But you're pretty convinced, and LA, you're pretty convinced. I'm totally convinced, because I want to share with you. I want to share with you, brother, something that happened. And, just for the sake of our audience, is that, I haven't told you, the visitation that I had. I haven't shared this vision with you. I've shared some things with Mondo about some experiences that I had, and Mondo hopefully knows me well enough now to know that I'm not some charismatic kook, or, just, I do think theologically, so everything gets filtered through that. So I just want to share something with you guys, and you can speak into this. Because it was something that happened it's either 2010, gents, or 2011. I can't remember the year exactly. One of the reasons you don't share these things is because I have tried, even in the charismatic with pastors and what have you, the charismatic movement, it's, you realize that people can't receive these things. They can't, so you have to really wait until people come along that just fit right in with the conversation. And I was happy to keep this to myself. I think, you know what? It was just a very personal thing, a very private thing. I don't need to share it. But now that the shroud's back in the news, I just thought I really want to do a video with you guys who are sort of, you're sort of into this subject material, and share with the viewers sort of what happened. So 2010, 2011, again, I can't remember the year. I do know it was about August time. I went to help in a church youth camp. Youth camp. So it was either the Thursday or the Friday night. I'm not too sure again what it was, the Thursday or the Friday. So I was helping there in the kitchen. It was up near in Worcester, just up in the Midlands. So I drive up there. And I'm in the service, and then I go and after the service, the kids are having, they're going on and on. So I go back to my tent, and I'm sleeping in the tent, and I go to bed, in my sleeping bag. This is about, and I don't know when this happens. You know what it's like? You have these visitations, LA, you've had them, you have the visions, you're asleep, but the next conscious moment you're awake. The next conscious moment, you're asleep, but you have a conscious moment in your sleep. And a face appears right before me. It's filling up my entire vision, the face and it's that face. Show that image again, LA. It's that face right there. But that's a dead man in a cloth, right? That's the picture of a dead man. He's looking at me. He is looking at me, and in one sense, the way it's almost like he's shrouded. It's almost like he's in shadow. But the thing that stick, the only thing I'm looking at is the identical face on the shroud. So I've had experiences, guys, where I've had 4 now. I've been taken to the day of the Lord, as you know, Mondo, that the whole idea with, so a future Jesus. I've had 2 visitations with a present Jesus. This one seems to have been in the past, and I don't know how it worked. I don't know how it worked. I don't know. And it is before his death. For sure it's before his death, because this visitation, there's actually 2 parts to this visitation. We're only going to have time to share the one, because I really wanted to speak into theologically what went on there as well, Mondo. So we'll just get into the first part. So I know I'm back in before Jesus' death, and I'm seeing him, but his eyes, guys, his eyes, they were like the color I can most closely link it to is azure. So what that color is, for if people are not aware, it's like that deep blue color. So, you know, in a plane, you're flying in a plane, 40,000 feet, you look out the window, you know, it's daylight, and you kind of look up to the heavens, where the sky turns into that deep blue before it begins to go purple and then black. Well, it's not sky blue, it's that deep blue, his eyes. So this was kind of weird, because his face seems to be in shadow, but his eyes are just like this deep azure blue. But more so than that, you know, we look into each other's eyes. We say, you know, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? Is that, you know, I look at your eyes, you look into my eyes, I can see the color. Okay, that's fine. He's got blue eyes, you got blue eyes, I got brown, you got green, whatever. And we could see something of the soul of a person in the eyes. Well, this wasn't even that, because looking into his eyes was like looking into 2 pools of infinity.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. So I could not, that's all I'm looking at. I'm looking at it. I'm looking into his eyes. So again, I'm describing this as like. So, and if, you know, like the infinity pools that you have, you know, you go on holiday, for people who are aware what an infinity pool is, you know, like they build the pool on the balcony of the the hotel or whatever. And then they do it if it's, the sea can be further on, right? But they do it in such a way where if you're in the pool, it's like you're swimming to, it's like you could swim out to sea. Yeah. And so that's why they're called infinity pools. Well, this was like that, except it wasn't an illusion, because infinity pools were an illusion. This was not an illusion. It was like, again, it's like, when I looked into his eyes, it seems like I could shrink. This is going to sound weird. This is going to sound completely weird. I get it. But it's like eternity was behind his eyes. And it's almost like there was no head. It's like you could walk around the back of his head and his head wouldn't be there. Do you follow what I'm saying? But we know his head was. And it's like I could walk into his eyes. That sounds bizarre. It sounds weird, but that's exactly how it felt, and how the sense of, if he let you could walk into his eyes, and it would be like walking into an ocean of infinity and eternity. And so, go ahead. Yes.
No, I just want to tag team onto that real quick.
Yeah.
I saw him too. It was years ago, and I was at a very, very difficult place in my life. My daughter Sarah had leukemia. We were almost in foreclosure on the house. Things weren't going well at work. I was being ostracized at church because of the Nephilim and the UFO stuff. And so I'm in my van and I'm driving down my canyon and I'm crying. I'm overwhelmed. I just can't take another thing. Hands are on the wheel. I'm in my van. I'm crying. I'm looking out the windshield and there he is. Now you tell me how you can be driving down the canyon, right? And this isn't a straight road, folks. This canyon goes like, right? Driving down the canyon and looking at Jesus at the same time. It's like, that's what I'm doing. And I wrote this worship song called Holy Love. The eyes were burning. His eyes are like flaming fire, right? Revelation 19. It's like the eyes were burning with holy love. Holy love. I've never felt or seen anything even remotely like it. And that's who he is.
Yeah. And it's amazing because some people say he's got blue eyes, he's got fiery eyes. He changes his eyes change. The things that I've noticed when people have said his eyes change because they change according to it. They're the window to his soul. And one thing that I realized coming out of this experience, I'll go back into it now, but coming out and thinking about it is you have no doubt whatsoever that when you're looking into the face of Jesus, you are looking into the face of a God. You have, he's like us, but then he's not like us, Exactly. Or when you are looking into the eyes of Jesus, you are looking into the eyes of God. There is absolutely no doubt. So, the shroud is 100% for me because I've had an experience with the face on the shroud. But, as I began to think about this, gents, is that, and Mondo, you can jump in on here. We'll talk about the incarnation. Is that there's no way that the disciples would have seen Jesus that way because his eyes were like, those eyes, because we have this idea of he's veiled in flesh somehow, for some reason. And I'm getting to the reason. I won't tell the reason now, but I was allowed to see that. So, like the camel, again, it's a bit like, it has three eyelids, right? So there's the eye and the eye. So Jesus had his human eyes, because if you're like James, and he's got 4 brothers, right? Or 3 or 4 brothers, got some sisters, you're sleeping, if the boys are sharing the room, James, Joseph, Jude, whatever, and you've got Jesus over there and, you're sharing the same bunks or what have you. And you open you're James, you open your eyes and Jesus is looking at you and you're thinking like, whoa, that's too much, man. Or you're all gathered around the family table, right? And everybody's backing away from the elder brother because he's just too weird. It is what we talk about in this. It says in Isaiah 53, there was no form in him, no majesty that we should behold him. So in other words, the whole idea, isn't it, Mondo? And I'm going to back this over to you and you can explain to the viewers the whole idea of the hypostatic union, that Jesus is one person, but he has 2 natures, 2 souls, 2 natures, indivisible. I will get the definition, but you can come to the definition of how he holds 2 natures within himself. But I know that when I was looking into those eyes, they were not his human eyes, they were his divine eyes. They were his God eyes, because Jesus, he veils himself, God veils himself in human flesh in the person of Jesus, but he doesn't stop becoming God, which is where a lot of people get confused about. He is God. And inside that flesh, that 5'10", 5'11", whatever he is, with a 6 inches between here and back there, or whatever, the length of your skull. Within that is the eternal, immortal, infinite God person. And you can't get away from that. And you can't get away from who he is. And, people say, this, LA, you mentioned about, Constantine's mom, Helena. Well, we're not so sure about Constantine, but we raise a glass of water to his mum, right? Because she really got in on all that. Where's he buried? Where's this? And And so, from the divine person, and also, the Trinity, that's kind of made up. It was, 4 centuries later that Jesus never claimed to be God. And it's like, excuse me, have you even read the Gospels? It's like Jesus got crucified because he claimed to be God. You're claiming God as your father, etc., blasphemy. You're making yourself equal with God. Well, Jesus claimed that at 12 to his parents. Don't you know I must be about my father's in my father's house, about my father's business, And it's almost like, what did you know at 12? I mean, I didn't know very much at 12. He knew who he was even at 12, his identity. So I just wanted to share that because it's very precious to me. But you now have the theological minds to sort of like to really speak into that and say, well, what is this thing about this Jesus being, as the Father's, the creeds, he's truly God and he's truly man at the same time. I had no doubt. There was no doubt. I get eternity. I get infinity. I mean, I don't get it, but I get that he holds it. I get that it resides in him, this 5'11" human being, that somehow he's truly God, he's truly man. And when that second eyelid goes up, so, whatever his eyes were on earth, brown eyes, and he's just a normal human being. He's living with his siblings. But when you see into the divine person that he is, you just can't help but worship him. That's what you were saying at Mondo, LA. It's like you just, wow.
Love.
Yeah.
Burning, holy love burning for us. Holy love.
Yeah.
Holy
Amen.
love of Jesus.